this is Tracy from Mini Scenes. Today I'm going to be showing you a project that I've been meaning to do for a long time. About 2 years ago, yes, it's got to be at least 2 years, I sealed some freshly cut, note, not dried, bonsai Japanese maple leaves. Look how little some of these are, because they're off my bonsais. And I hadn't dried them. I know that if you put flowers, well, I suppose, and leaves in resin without drying them, they can actually just rot inside the resin. So it doesn't really work. You need to dry them first. These, however, the resin it was UV resin and it's lifted. But as you can see, if you look through the resin, the colour's still there and they don't appear to have rotted. You can see where it's white, just where it's lifted, but look at the colours. So I thought I'd revisit this little project and try it with epoxy resin in a coaster mould. I almost also might have a go at making a doorstop. Depends if I mix up way too much resin by accident, I usually do. Anyway, so if I can introduce you to today's equipment. Obviously we have got a perfectly standard little coaster mould. This was just off eBay. I honestly can't remember where I got it from. I bought a big set of them. They were very cheap. So standard coaster mould. I will put you some links for some of these things in the notes below anyway. So coaster mould. Obviously then we're going to need some leaves. Now I've literally just been outside and cut these. I am going to cut the little stalks off, so I've got my nice little scissors to carefully snip the stalks off because I want to be able to lie them flat. So they're not pressed. They are fairly flat to start with, look, as you can see. Nice, aren't they? Freshly off a Japanese bonsai. One of the Acer palmatum ones, I think. Oops, from memory. She says chucking them everywhere. So here's our little leaves. The other things we're going to need, obviously, are resin. Now, I use several different sorts of resin. I found Jade Diction good. I found the Let's Resin stuff very, very good, and their service is great as well. This is one I've been using quite a lot for smaller things, and I've just ordered in a whopping big job lot of it. But it still comes in these little bottles, even if you order a huge amount. This is from Union Jack Arts, and I'll put the link for their products on my in the notes below this video, because these are from eBay. Their service is great. I just find it really good resin, and I like the fact that although if you order a huge job lot, I mean I ordered stack, there was 70 odd quid's worth, it still comes in these really handleable little bottles, so you haven't got these great big unwieldy bottles to mess with. So for small stuff, this is brilliant. It's a two-part, so you've got 1-to-1 resin and hardener. Easy way to mix this, I find, either a measuring cup, or if I'm doing small amounts, I tend to use these. They're cheap plastic shot glasses. They're pence each. I buy them in a big pack of them for about £1 from around our local shop. So they're great. And if you're doing 1-to-1, obviously 1 cup of each, job's a good one. So there's those. What else have we got? We have got some glitter. This is a rose gold chunky festival glitter. Again, that was just from eBay. And this is some rainbow holographic. Don't know. I'll have a think about whether I use these. I was thinking just a little bit of sparkle of one or the other in the coaster. I have got a square coaster mould here as well. If I mix up too much resin, I might just go for that rather than the doorstop. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go along. So let's give it a go. Also, what else have we got? Oh, got a bookmark mould. That might be quite nice, mightn't it? Yeah, let's see what happens. So other things you're going to need, we have some gloves. Also worth getting a proper respirator. Resin is nasty stuff. I did once have a horrible allergic reaction to it, which took weeks to go and was painful and the most horrific rash you ever saw. My eyes swole up. I was covered in this horrible rash. More recently, I do seem to have developed a bit of a resistance to it. It doesn't bother me, but all the same, let's be on the safe side, knowing that that can happen. Also, it's really hard to get off your hands. So there we are. So before I get all sticky and messy, I'm going to cut the little stalks from the leaves. So right nice and near to the base of the leaf as I can. Don't know whether I'm going to need all of these, but you know, I was out in the garden snipping away. The leaves are starting to drop now. You can tell it's off a real tree. There's a bit of the algae. Yeah, the leaves are starting to drop. I'm wishing I'd caught one of the other bonsais sooner, because the leaves are actually vivid red. I mean really scarlet. Absolutely beautiful, but they've all dried a little bit too much now. So bear in mind, these haven't been dried. I have literally just picked them 5 minutes ago. Well, you know, as long ago as it took me to go and get my phone set up to do the filming of this. I picked the leaves. It's a big one. And I picked dandelions for my guinea pig fudge. Because I thought I don't really want him squeaking his head off all through the video. I'll get him some dandelions. Let's put those to one side. I'll get him some dandelions and that'll keep him entertained while I make the video. So as you can see, some of these are seriously tiny. Now, obviously, you know, a lot of people have Japanese maples in their garden. The leaves are fairly small anyway. If you wanted really tiny ones like this, you need to find yourself a bonsai grower, because we leaf prune them to make the leaves smaller. That leaf's way too big, really. I didn't get, that one's crinkled a bit. I didn't quite get into the leaf pruning quite on the scale that I should have done this year. So some of these are quite big. That's probably not far off the size you'd have in the normal ones in your garden. There we go. So got all those trimmed off, last few. No reason why you shouldn't use them off a normal maple. They'll just be bigger, that's all. Right, now I'm going to get some resin in these first. Still thinking on which ones to do. Now, it doesn't matter whether you mix your hardener. I'm going to mix way too much here. It doesn't matter whether you put your hardener into your pot first or your resin into your pot first. I find it makes no difference whatsoever. The main thing is being reasonably accurate about the measurements. I don't get into weighing it or anything like that, but as you can see by eye, that's about the same. Now, I've got one of my measuring pots, which I'll mix it up in. This is a measuring pot I've used before, as you can see. Reuse where possible. I do use wooden stirring sticks. Now, I know people worry that these add more bubbles, but for a lot of the time it doesn't really matter. Because the bubbles do get a chance to dissipate. I also stir way too fast, I'm sure. I'm almost like whisking an egg. You're meant to do it really slowly. I mix fast, speeds things up, means you haven't got to hang around watching me. The slower you stir, you're meant to go like this. The slower you stir, the less bubbles you get. Now, as you can see, I pretty much do like whisking an egg. Using a wooden stick, we're doing everything wrong. However, this mixes it fast. You are meant to be mixing for a good couple of minutes. I find doing it fast like this, not a problem. In fact, that's probably done already. You wait until there is no cloudiness to it. As you can see, bubbles are popping already. But in between the bubbles, you can see that is clear. The only bit that's causing any whiteness to it is the bubbles. There is no sort of milky haze to it. And that's when you know it's mixed. Now, I'm going to put some of this into the mould straight away. And very gently, so as I don't scratch the mould itself. I know they're only cheap, but you don't want to wreck your moulds, do you? Yeah, as you can see, the bubbles are already starting to go, but I'm very gently just spreading it around, rather than relying on it to just find its own way to the edges, because this is only going to be a very thin layer. What I don't want to do is have bubbles underneath the leaves. You know, an odd one won't matter, because it'll just look like raindrops, but I don't want all of these to get trapped under it. The odd big bubble could look quite cute. There we go. So let's have a little bit more. So it's spread around. And there we go. Get into the corners. Corners, it's round, you fool. Anyway, you know what I mean. Edges, that's the word I'm looking for. There. So we've got basically a goodish covering. Not too fussy, but it'll do the job. Now, next thing I'm going to do, and this is something else you probably shouldn't use on a silicone mould. Little torch. However, look at the state of it. You can see this has been very well used. I have got a new one on order. It's also getting unreliable now. But there we go. These get very, very hot. Most resin artists will tell you just go over with one of those cooking lighters with just a gentle flame, just to draw the bubbles to the surface. However, I find that this, although it's far too fierce and will wreck the mould, if I just do some little snaps like that, if it'll work, just gets the worst of them out. So let me give it a little smooth round, and as you can see, there's hardly any bubbles there now, and they will gradually dissipate. So what I'm going to do now, got quite a lot of resin here, haven't I? I know. Let's do a bookmark. So same with this. You can see this bookmark mould has got the little bit to create the hole at the top. Again, dirt cheap off eBay. Bought a big set of these. So I'm just going to spread the resin around again, get a base layer in. The idea being that we'll put the leaves in, push them down a little bit, just to get them settled, and then we'll put the next layer of resin straight on top, and then get dead patient and just leave them. That is the idea. I'm not good with patience, but we'll see. Right, so the leaves then. Let's just give this a quick snap with that. I'm not even too worried if it doesn't completely cover the bottom, to be honest. It's just so I can get some underneath the leaves to start with. I don't know how well this bookmark's going to work because it's so fine and thin, but we'll see. Right, I think we want the little, oops, still got a stalk on that one. I think we need the little leaves first. And some I'll push down more than others. I've got another poking stick for pushing down leaves with. See, these are quite, some of these are tiddy little things. Hey, lovely. I'll tell you what, I hate wearing gloves. Wrong way. Now you see I'm putting them face downwards because I want the other side to be the top. So we have another stick here. We're just going to give them a little push. Now as you see, if I push in the middle first, the leaves curl upwards as I push. So hopefully that is pushing any bubbles out. That is the theory. So middle, then go whoop, out to the edges. Being nicely random here with how they're laid out. They'll move anyway, especially if I put another lot of resin in. They'll definitely move. Let's put him there. There we are. So that's one lot of leaves in. Oh, this over here hasn't spread as well, but doesn't matter. Just move it a bit like that. With this one, Bookmark, these leaves are clearly a bit too big. So what I'm going to do is cut them at a weird angle. Like so. So that they can go down the edge. Now, I know these are going to move. I'm going to end up having to push them back. I know I am. Because I'm not going to get much more resin in this Bookmark. They really are quite thin when they're finished. So I'm going to push these right down. Again, start in the middle, working my way out. There we are. A little bit that goes up over the edge there. This is how I end up with resin on my scissors. Must remember to clean scissors. There's a little one, look. Let's pop the little one in at the top. Yeah, that one almost fits. Yeah. Give a little turn. Yeah, look, he fits. Need to snip a little bit off this one too and pop him there. Now a little bit more resin. Just going to drizzle it over these. See, look, they're all moving anyway. Can soon move them around. Just got to poke them with his stick. Not a problem. Then resin dripping everywhere. These can go on the back. Oh, that's a nice one. Colours vary. These are actually all off the same tree. It's actually still got green leaves on it as well. And one side's redder than the other. I think I'll take a photo of it in a minute just to show you. I'll pop that on the end of the video for you. I hope you're enjoying this. This is quite, it's very therapeutic to do, I have to say. I'm going to end up with too many leaves here, aren't I? I'm going to overdo it if I'm not careful. Knowing when to stop is a great art, one which I have not yet mastered. You know what? Stop now, Tracy. That's enough. Now, I'm not going to push these down as hard. Give them a little tap in the middle and then a little tap on the corners. I almost want these to stand up a little bit, be a little bit, give it a bit of 3D to it. Of course, I could have done this. I could have been patient. Not good at being patient. But I could have been patient and actually done one layer, let it dry, do another layer, let it dry. You could get a really good 3D effect doing that, I think. However, we are just here at the moment to prove that this works. Of course, what we'll have to do is make another video in a year's time where I show you, next time I do some stuff with these leaves, when it's autumn and the trees are doing their thing again, to make another little bit to a video just to say, look, this is what they look like after a year. Because frankly, if they're not going to go off and rot after a year, it ain't going to happen, is it? There was me wondering if I'd made up enough, way too much resin. Looks like I've not made, might have not made enough. Because I wanted to put a bit of glitter on the back, didn't I? It'll mix in because the resin's still wet. What shall we have? What shall we have? Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go with the rainbow. Glitter is the devil's work, as you know. It goes everywhere. So a very small teaspoon or the like is dead handy for manoeuvring it, because it's already, look, it's already getting everywhere. Don't know if you can see that, but my lovely black mat that I bought myself from Let's Resin has now got glitter all over it. Now, I've only put the tiniest little bit in because I'm literally just topping it up. So this is a great way to do it if you're downright impatient. I've mixed the resin far too fast. I haven't let anything dry. I haven't dried the leaves. This is the perfect project for somebody desperately impatient. Mind you, I should say that when it's finished, shouldn't I? We've seen whether it's actually worked or not. Right, this bookmark I am just going to drizzle a little bit over the back of the leaves and push it around because it is very, very thin. There isn't much room to build up a great deal in the way of layers on a bookmark. So there's a note there for you. If you ever decide to make bookmarks, think about what it is exactly you're going to put inside them. If you've got dried flowers or anything like that, they've got to be really flat, because you haven't got much room for building it up either side of it. That, in fact, I think is going to do it. So there's not going to be much glitter. As you can see, tiny little bit of glitter. I'm just making sure the back of these leaves is covered. That's all on the bookmark. The coaster, I might put an extra fine layer in afterwards. There's no point in doing that on camera though. You've seen enough of me pouring resin now, haven't you? I might get away with it on the bookmark as well, we'll see, because there's a bit there where it doesn't seem to have quite covered. Amazing, isn't it? You think you've got all the resin out of your pot and then you find you can get a bit more. And then you tip it upside down to drain out so you can use, you know, clean it up easily to use it again. And lo and behold, there's a puddle of the stuff appeared underneath it. So it's worth doing this. Really scrape it out. Right. I think these leaves are completely covered now. They don't seem to have moved too much either, which is nice. Just organise them a bit more. Like I said, the main thing is just to make sure they're actually covered with the bookmark. There we go. We now need a serious dose of patience. I'll come back and show you the demoulding in the morning. If I do put another very thin layer on the back of this coaster, which I may do, I'll tell you in the morning when we demould whether I ended up doing that or not. But there we are. Now try to be patient. Just give it a quick flash with a little torch. I don't think you see that, but there's bubbles popping all over the place. There we go. Better not do any more with the torch. Wrecked mould time if we're not careful. So I'm just going to make sure these are pushed down a bit. Like I said, the last ones I put in, I don't want them pushed down too far. Keep it a bit 3D. Just trying to loosen bubbles underneath them. So I'm just going to keep pressing the middles, I think, like that. And they will naturally bounce back up. That is what's happening. Lovely. Right. See you tomorrow for the demould, or rather on this video in about 30 seconds. See you tomorrow, folks. Okay, folks, those of you who were waiting for the leaves to be revealed, yes, I did peak too soon. I got over enthusiastic and I demoulded. I'm quite pleased. Most of the glitter stayed behind the leaves, just a little bit to come through. The bubbles all dissipated beautifully. Looks okay on the back. You can see a lot more of the glitter, so that probably spoils it a bit. What I'm going to do is put some little rubber feet on the back of it, just so that it sits nice. But The heat of the resin didn't take the colour out of the leaves. In fact, if anything, it's enhanced it. And the, well, time will tell if they rot, but going by those ones that I did a couple of years ago, probably not. I haven't demoulded the bookmark yet because it's still a bit bendy because the resin is so thin. But judging by how this went, I think I will be able to do that shortly. What I'm going to do for you is take some photos of the bonsai itself, and then when I come to demould the bookmark, I'll pop those photos on for you to end the video. Here we go, as promised, the bonsais. Yeah. The leaves are dropping, you have to cover the pond up. Look, pond not looking its best. All the leaves coming off the trees. But yeah, here's the little bonsais that were the donors of the leaves. Obviously we've only got a short window of opportunity with these to get the leaves off. I am going to try and dry some though, so if that works, I'll get some packs out with the little tiny leaves on offer, just so you can see the size. If I take one and go over here, this is the full size twin, literally, of the bonsai one, and you can see how much bigger the leaves are. This was the one I let carry on growing rather than bonsai'd, and they're beautiful leaves. Look, it's been raining, isn't that pretty? But look at the leaf size difference. I can actually get these down smaller than that. It just takes quite a lot of leaf pruning. Anyway, it's raining out here, so I'm going back inside. Here we go. I've demoulded the bookmark. I am pretty pleased with it, I have to say. Rather nice. It's lovely and shiny out of that mould, as you can see. It's still slightly bendy. That will firm up in time, but resin does take a good few days to really harden when it's this thin. I've also popped on it a nice little tassel in autumn colours, because I think that goes with it quite nicely. So there we go, there's another little project finished. Obviously I'll post another video in a year's time, because I'm going to keep at least one of these so that I can see what's happened with these leaves. But judging by previous experiments, they should be absolutely fine. I think I'm going to give this to my mum. I think she'd like that. Thanks for watching, folks. Do subscribe, do spread the word. I am trying to get plenty of content out over the next weeks, months, years on this channel, so I really appreciate your support. Thank you, and I'll see you for the next one.